a closer look here. So take a look. There we go. There's our tornado warning in effect. This is where the storm is. Again, it's about to cross the Connecticut River, and it's moving to the east. So it should be in East Hartford momentarily. Be at Buckland by the Buckland Hills Mall around 6:11, Manchester 6:14, Highland Park at 6:17. Let's go back to that camera. Let's go to Yard Goat's camera. And again, at least right now, I don't see anything that's, I mean, you can see a couple things here. One, look at these clouds that are sort of forming and just sort of being sucked up into the cloud. That just shows us we've got a tremendous amount of rising motion. So the storm is sort of sucking in all this air. And that's what you need when you get one of these thunderstorms. Let's pan left more because I think, based on how it looks on radar, so now we're looking to the southeast. So, all right. Again, nothing, not seeing a tornado here, but we've got that tornado warning in effect because the storm overhead is spinning around. And so at any time, all right, I think that's good. Maybe go back to the right just a little bit. Let's try to look right across the Connecticut River. And we can do the same, I believe, with our East Hartford camera, if we can swing that one around too. All right, so there you go. So at least right now, this is a cloud that's much lower than what you would typically see. We have this wall cloud out there, which is sort of hanging out underneath the thunderstorm. It's a supercell thunderstorm. It goes really high up into the atmosphere. It's spinning around. You've got this wall cloud, and that's where the tornado would emanate from. But as you're looking here, and one of the great things about our camera network, we have cameras all over the state, but we're able to give you, in high definition, a crystal clear view of these storms as they move in to keep you safe and keep you ahead of the storm. And right now, we're looking okay. Let's go back to radar, because at any moment here, this thing could produce a tornado. These things move very, very quickly. So there's the storm. Rochelle, have you noticed anything on radar of note here?
No, we've just, even if there's, not an actual tornado on the ground, we still could get some pretty gusty winds in this because we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning kind of surrounding that tornado warning as well. So areas like Windsor, South Windsor, we're in that severe thunderstorm warning. Even some areas of Windsor locks up towards the airport, we're still dealing with maybe some strong winds as well as maybe some hail in there as well.
And there's that possible tornado, Rochelle. Let's look at the hail tracker here to see what we've got. So the hail core is to the north, up toward Bloomfield and Windsor. This may be increasing, though, as the storm moves east. And if we go back here, I'll show you. So in Hartford, we're just about clear, downtown Hartford. So the tornado threat now is coming to an end in Hartford. West Hartford, the tornado threat is over. So all clear in West Hartford, Farmington, and Avon. You're safe to go about your business today. However, there's still lightning around, so just be careful out there. And then there's the storm again, East Hartford and Manchester. We'll zoom in and give you a couple areas that will be next up here with the storm as it moves in. So here's 84. There's 74 heading up towards South Windsor. So East Hartford, Main Street, Pleasant Valley Road. And if I go back over here to velocity, just take a look here. Yeah, it looks like that rotation has weakened a bit. Does not look as strong as it did just a little bit ago. So some good news there. So we had our eyes on it, basically from the thing coming from Avon into Hartford. And at least right now, it does not look like we had a tornado touchdown, thank goodness. However, this is still a nasty little thunderstorm that we've got going through East Hartford and Manchester. A tornado warning remains in effect with this storm. That tornado warning goes until 6:30 this evening. So here it is. Again, heavy rain, some hail possible up 91 up toward Windsor. The worst is now out of downtown Hartford. Let's go back to our cameras if we can, get another shot of this. We may actually be okay here. So, okay, so there you go. So that's the storm. So now we're looking at the back of the storm. So we're looking here toward East Hartford. And still that lowering. Let's go over to the Goats camera, Yard Goats camera here at Duncan Park. Same deal. So on the left, so here's 91. So to the left is up 91, up more toward the Windsor and South Windsor. And then to the right is a little bit farther to the south. So it'd be more toward East Hartford and Manchester. And so this area right here is where your tornado threat would be. And then the area here, this is what we call the forward flank downdraft of the storm. That's where you get all sorts of junk to come down, rain and hail and some wind. That would be farther to the north. So, but again, the great thing about these cameras here is we can look to see, it's not very often you're able to get a camera with all the trees and hills around here in Connecticut to get a clear shot of one of these storms coming in, but that's what we've got. All right, let's go back to radar here on Max C. And it does look like overall, I think the storm structure does not look as impressive as it did just a bit ago. We had a bit of what we call a hook echo before. We had some stronger rotation. Now the rotation looks much weaker, but I do want to show you where it is because we're not out of the woods entirely with this one. If there was a tornado that would develop shortly, it's going to be here in East Hartford, moving through East Hartford, heading into Manchester, Tolland Turnpike, Middle Turnpike West, down 384, Pleasant Valley Road, 291 is going to cross right over 291. And then continue to the east from there. But again, so this, if you look here, this just looks sort of messy. It's hard to really, you're probably watching at home being like, what is this? This is just a mess. It looks like a kid just threw paint on the wall. And what this is telling me is that the storm is just not very well organized. If it was better organized, you'd see a really bright red next to a really bright green. That would tell you to have really tight, strong rotation. We don't have that right now. So that's a bit of good news. Just looking out of the corner of my eye at these cameras, I don't see anything. Yeah, so the storm, again, is a little bit weaker. Rochelle, what are you looking at over there as the storm moves off to the east? What do you got?
There is another storm that's moving through Fairfield County, about to move into New Haven County. It's not warned or anything. It doesn't look particularly impressive for severe weather, but we do have that with some heavy rain that's moving through as well. There's no lightning with that storm like there is with this tornado-warned storm that we have in Hartford County, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Southbury, areas like Waterbury heads up to you. You might get some of that heavy rain that's moving in. But I have noticed how you see that little bit down toward the bottom, that's kind of dropped down over the last few frames. So might need to keep an eye out for that. Monroe, you're probably starting to hear some of those raindrops right now, but doesn't look like there's much as far as rotation goes with this storm. But I just kind of noticed how that little bit has dropped a little farther south with it. So might be something worth watching outside of the fact that it's heavy pouring rain, that it's going to reduce visibility for anybody on the roads down that way.
So again, the tornado warned storm here, Rochelle. So we're keeping a close eye on this one here in Fairfield County. It's heading toward the valley. It should be in the Naugatuck Valley shortly. Let's take a look here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer for you. I got a report from Bob Maxon of some trees down in the Weetog section of Simsbury. Hearing reports of a little bit of damage there. Also from the storm earlier that came through in Kent, some reports of some damage. So here's the storm. Thankfully, the rotation has weakened quite a bit, so it's not nearly as impressive as it was. The storm center right now that you'd be looking for any potential rotation would be here over Manchester, but there's just not much of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this warning was canceled early because for two reasons. One, it's about to move out of this warned area and head into Tolland County, and also it just doesn't look as strong as it did just a little bit ago. So as I zoom things out, let's just do a little reset here for everyone who's just watching. You may just be tuning in. This is a tornado warning situation that we have for the storm that has been moving through Litchfield County and now is in Hartford County. We saw on our live cameras a very impressive looking thunderstorm with what we call a wall cloud, which is sort of a precursor to tornado development sometimes. But thankfully, that all has weakened. The entire storm structure has sort of become a little more loosely organized, and so that's some good news there. So we'll wait and see what the Weather Service does as the storm heads into Tolland County. But at least right now, I think we're in better shape in the Hartford area as the storm has weakened quite a bit from what it was just before, Rochelle.
And Ryan, one thing to note, this is the same storm that we were watching for that tornado warning in Litchfield County not too long ago. And we were mentioning it was coming into an area that had a little bit more of that instability, and we'd have to watch to see if it did get a little bit more active. It did feed on some of that energy that was farther downstream, and it looks like it did, but it looks like it may be pulsing back down once again. So something that we're keeping an eye on with this storm. This is the second tornado warning, and now we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning associated with this same storm now into Tolland County. So let me see if I can pull up some information on that. So again, we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for Talon County. That'll go until 7 o'clock. Still with that tornado possible tag. Winds up to 60 miles an hour, hail up to 1 inch in diameter, includes Ellington, Mansfield, Talon, Vernon. You're all included in this new severe thunderstorm warning from the same storm. So Ryan's put a track on that where some of the strongest winds were located. So we've got Oakland 610, Lytleville at 613, 614 for Vernon, North Coventry 625, Merrow 631, Eagleville 635, and close to Mansfield around 639, 640. So that's as the storm is moving off to the east. Again, we still have this tornado possible tag with this singular storm that we've been watching over the last hour plus now. And we do still have that tornado warning in place, but like Ryan was mentioning, for the most part, it's moved out of Hartford County. There is still a part of that storm, the southern part of that storm, that's right on the eastern edge of that tornado warning. So if you're in Manchester, you're under the sound of my voice in Manchester, you're hearing that heavy rain that's coming down. Maybe some small hail. Ryan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it could be a little bit. It looks like that, yesterday we had the much more substantial hail. It looks like the hail threat with these is a little bit weaker, a little bit lower. Right now, maybe pea-sized hail should do it with this storm. But again, these storms can strengthen pretty quickly. You can go from a storm that doesn't look like a whole lot to a few minutes later, you get into trouble. These storms strengthen so quickly. I'm just looking behind the scenes here at some of our wind shear products just to show me how much wind shear is in the atmosphere. And, any of these storms today that develop certainly are capable of producing tornadoes. There's a lot of low-level wind shear in the atmosphere, so we're watching all of these that develop because it just wouldn't take much to get that tornado to develop. So at least right now, we've got a tornado warning in effect for Hartford County, but that is going to be allowed to expire soon, and probably we'll get this warning to be canceled early.
Yeah.
And then we've got this other storm here that's about to move into Southbury and Oxford. And we'll keep an eye on that one because that is also in an area that's favorable for tornadoes to develop. So all of these storms that develop, each and every one of them, we're just going to have to watch like a hawk as we go through the night tonight. But the storm right now that we've got moving into out of the Hartford area, up into Manchester, again, that has weakened quite a bit. The tornado threat looks minimal at best at the moment as the storm moves out of the warning area into Vernon. And again, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Talon. I can just throw up the velocity data. Yeah, I don't see basically any rotation here. So it looks like we are going to dodge a bullet here. And we've been able to watch this storm. We had eyes on it with our camera, basically from Avon all the way through East Hartford. And we did not see any funnel. We did not see a tornado touching down. We did see what we believe to be a wall cloud, which would indicate some low-level rotation and sort of a precursor, very, very close to producing a tornado. But that, at least right now, looks like we're in much better shape than we were about 15 minutes ago, Rochelle.
Yeah, and so we do still have tornado watches, severe thunderstorm watches in place for our northern counties, but we're still going to see storms and maybe some strong storms in our southern counties. So if you're hearing us from New London, Middlesex, New Haven, and some areas of Fairfield County, just know that we do still have the potential for some strong to severe storms, even though you're not in the watch. So don't think, you might see the skies darkening in some areas of the shoreline. You're thinking, oh, I'm not under a watch, I don't need to be concerned. That's not the case. We've got this available energy for storms to feed off of across a good portion of the state as we head farther into your Sunday evening and towards Sunday night. So here's a look at those watches that are in place. A warning is more imminent, a little bit more urgent versus a watch. The watch is more of a heads up that we could get some stronger storms to move through. But it looks like they did cancel the tornado warning for Hartford County about 15 minutes early, Ryan was saying, because that storm is moving out of that warning box, but we still have severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, so exactly right, Rochelle. That tornado warning now is canceled. That red box is gone. severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect really now for Tolland County and Manchester and South Windsor in Hartford County. This is the severe thunderstorm warning that we're looking at right now. This storm has the potential to produce some gusty winds. We have a couple of reports of some trees down from where the storm has been, and we'll also keep an eye on this one. This is the other storm we've got in the state that's about to head into Oxford. I'll give you a closer look at this one. It might come pretty close to Derby too, so it's moving into Shelton right now. Derby and Ansonia, Oxford getting some rain. We'll see if this one is able to do anything as it crosses Route 8, but at least right now doesn't look like a too significant of a deal. So to break it all down, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that storm in Manchester and South Windsor. It's heading into Vernon, heading into Tolland. That one has the potential to produce some gusty winds, and this one is a developing storm here in New Haven County that we're going to keep an eye on. Tornado watch continues for northern Connecticut. That means there's the potential for a tornado, and I think basically anyone in Connecticut, at least for the next hour or so, we're just going to have to keep a close eye on these storms as they move on through, because there's the potential for these storms to rotate, and with that comes a risk for a tornado. So we're going to keep you posted all evening right here on NBC Connecticut. Now we'll send you back to regularly scheduled programming.
If you make that team, congratulations on a great run today.
Thanks, Amy.